offering a 20% off Canva discount, partnering with KW. Yes.
Even if we're already signed up, we can still get the discount.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing with it is that you have to use your KW email address. Yeah, but I'm thinking that if you just change your email address, like you have a Canva account, say, if you change your email account first in your Canva account, I think you might be able to get on the existing account.
Okay.
The worst thing that would happen is that you would have to move your designs over to a new account, which would be very annoying.
Can you do that for us if we're like,
If you cry.
if we're not savvy enough to do that?
Well, good thing is I'm gonna show you today in this class, kind of the how, and then yeah, of course.
Do you want the QR code for that?
Oh, sure, you have a QR code, nice.
We did.
I'm gonna give you guys a link to click on, so you know what, but yeah, that was great. Thank you. So as far as to get that link and zoom on, it is, okay. Oh, it's on, there, thanks. And there's people. Great, all right, everyone, good to go, good. All right, thanks for confirming. So again, for anyone online that could not hear me, right, we are talking about all the newest tech updates from Family Reunion. Okay, and the first one that we are going to talk about, this one's very exciting. KW just partnered with Canva, right? KW knows a lot of our agents use Canva. So you now get a 20% off discount with Canva if you have Canva Pro, okay? And I do suggest getting Canva. It's awesome. It has just unlimited templates. I'm going to teach a class on it on Thursday from 1 to 2, okay? So you guys can get a feel of it. But first of all, let me show you how you get that discount. So kwbresources.com, okay? I'm going to show you where the class notes are, essentially just links to give you resources. So under tech resources, so again, on kwbresources.com, that's your internal site for all your KWB agent tools. And I want you to go down to Tech Tuesday calendar. Okay, so that'll be the second option under tech resources, Tech Tuesday calendar. And we do have our new calendar up here, but really if you could scroll on down to the very bottom, I have your family reunion updates here. It's not beautiful, but it has the links that you need for today's class. So that first one there is the Canva discount. All right, so you'll see that if you click on it, right, it'll bring you to this form. Okay, it'll have you start. I went through the process. It had me put in my first name. You can go ahead and do it. It's just a couple questions if you would like to. Now I'm thinking if you already have a pro account for your, not with your KW email, you might want to switch that first. So with that being said, log into your Canva account. All right, go to the settings and switch the email. I can help you after class, okay? So we can get into the nitty gritty of that. Change your KW email so that it will connect this 20% discount in theory to your existing account. Okay. And if you want to go ahead and do that, feel free. If you want to work on that, I would encourage you to go ahead and click start if you would like to, and you can put in your name, okay? And I'm just going to show you why I would suggest doing this. Now, as you guys know, Canva or WeBrand, right, currently KW partners with WeBrand. So you do technically have designs in Command that you can use. However, Canva just has a lot of real estate related designs that you can just search real estate logos, real estate email signature, and it does a lot of the work for you. So keep filling out that form to get that discount, and I'll go ahead and log into DocuSign or Canva rather, so I can show you some of the cool reasons that we do want to do this. And I will teach an entire class on Canva on Thursday from 1 to 2 if you are available and want to learn more about Canva. Who in here uses Canva?
Well, I don't, but he does.
Right. So each one. Jill. Yeah, we use Canva for all of our designs. If you've ever seen any of our designs, it's all through Canva. It is very user friendly. And it has just a lot more templates than the KW command templates have. Let me know if you guys have any trouble with that form or anything. But let me just show you in about 2 clicks why I would really recommend getting Canva, okay? So if I go to create a design, let's say, okay, and I'll again show you this in detail. This is what we use primarily, but let's say I want to make a logo or an email signature, whatever you want to select, right? Click create a design and go ahead and you can select logo or email signature, whatever that is that you want to create. Then what's just so cool about it is on the left-hand side, right? I can literally type in real estate logos. And now here's about 9 million real estate related templates that I can completely change out, right? But it gives me a great idea of, okay, generally logos have either, for real estate, typically incorporate a key or some sort of house or roof. What do I like the best, right? I don't have to recreate the wheel here. I can come up, type in real estate, email signature. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong design. All right, we can go back here. I'll show you at home. We can search real estate social media, real estate buyer process. So as far as templates go, there are a lot more pre-created real estate templates in here that you can grab from. If you're needing just listed, okay? And I will show you this in detail, all right? But your homework before the class on Thursday is to go ahead and get your Canva account set up, make sure you feel comfortable accessing it and get connected to that 20% off discount. If you need help after this class, I'll help you with any of that. Questions on Canva before I continue? Are we excited about this? Super pumped. I know Canva is awesome. The fact that you get 20% off is amazing. I believe it's 20% off the entire year subscription. Did anyone go through the entire form? From what I'm saying, 20% off the year subscription, which is about $10 a month. So what they're saying is, I believe it's going to be 20% off of around $100, around $120. Just so you know what you're looking at as you go and upgrade to Pro. You do not have to upgrade to Pro. Let me say that real quick. Anything that has this icon right here, you cannot use unless you have Pro. So technically you can download Canva for free and you can use it without that Pro discount. Just so you guys know, if you want to, for now, save the money, you can upgrade anytime with that 20% discount, okay? All right, so moving on, if you guys feel okay on Canva, again, schedule that for 1 to 2 on Thursday. But now let's talk about some Command app features that they just released. And I do like this one a lot. This allows you to share neighborhood homes for sale and details right from the Command app. 1 second, let me read this. Liam, why do you recommend deleting your personal account completely?
Well, if we get Canva for free through KW, then we would just use the coupon to get the Pro, right?
Yeah, so I just wouldn't want to delete my existing account because I have so many designs in there. But yes, in theory, yes, if you have an existing account, you don't get the Pro account for free. You get it 20% off the entire year if you use your KW email. So I'm thinking that the system will need to be, if you have an existing Pro account, change out to your KW email first and then apply for the discount. And just let me know if anyone runs into issues. I can always push this up the regional tech support as well. All right, so new features on the Command mobile app. This one I really like. Okay, so you can send, the neighborhood nurture, right? Is anyone here using the bi-monthly neighborhood nurture, right? Or the, yes, right? We really like that feature in Command. And if you're not familiar with what that is, you're about to find out. Those of you online, let me see what you can see. Oh. Okay. All right, so we are pulling up our Command app. So those of you online, if you are following along, we're pulling up the Command app, which is the red KW app with the white red app with the white KW, okay? And this allows you as the agent to use Command on the go, right? So what this does, it allows you to send neighborhood stats and homes for sale right from your Command app, okay? So first thing I'm going to want to do to achieve that is, of course, again, pull up the Command app. You might have to log in. And then click on the contacts icon on the bottom of your screen. Okay, contacts icon. Now, if you have not uploaded your contacts from your phone in a while, okay, I would suggest doing that, right? So if you're putting contacts in your phone and not in command, and you want all of the contacts in your phone to also be in command, right? We can do that with like 3 clicks now. So if you have not done that in a while, the first thing I would recommend doing is clicking the 3 dots on the very top right of the contact section. So I click the contact section on the bottom, and then the 3 dots on the top right to import my contacts, okay? So I can click import contacts from that drop down. So if you haven't done that in a while, PJ, when's the last time you've done this?
Never.
Okay. So this might be a good thing to do. Now I know you have a lot of contacts in your database. It will skip duplicates. However, like if you have just their phone number in your phone and just their email in your database, it wouldn't skip that duplicate. Does that make sense? But it would skip, like if you have their phone, like phone number in your phone, and you try to import it into command, it does skip that duplicate. So I would recommend it. Just know if you do have like only their phone number on your phone and only their email address in your database, you're gonna get a duplicated contact, which is not a big deal now because you can merge it. Right? You can merge contacts, it's not a big deal, but it might create a little bit of work for you. Okay, so with that being said, right, that is how you can import your contacts from your phone, right, to your command database. And then after that, right, we can add neighborhoods to our contacts. So if you've done that already, great. If you want to pull up a contact that has a neighborhood, if not, go ahead and pull up a practice contact that you have in your account. So you can use the search bar and search by any contact that you have if you have a practice one. Let's go ahead and click on it to pull it up. It's right here. Let me pull up on the screen here. All right, this is what it'll look like, right? So from the command app, right, we are clicking on the contacts icon on the very bottom of your screen. And then simply click on a contact in your database, preferably, practice one, but honestly, they won't get anything when we do this, so it doesn't really matter. So any contact you can click on your phone. And then I want you to scroll down slightly. So once you click on the contact, scroll down slightly to find the neighborhood section. Okay, so all those neighborhood information, and you'll see that option to add or remove. So if you have not already added neighborhoods in for this contact, you can click add or remove, and you can use the map. It'll pull up a map view that you can zoom in and select certain neighborhoods. So whether those neighborhoods are neighborhoods that client is interested in, right? Or if it is the neighborhood they live in, right? Remember, if you have their physical address in your contacts, it'll automatically put their neighborhood. So like in this example, if you have their address in there, command automatically knows what neighborhood they live in, which is very cool. Okay, so that's one option. Or you can add neighborhoods, let's say if they're interested in downsizing in the near future, right? Or if they voiced, okay, in the next year or so, my kid's going to college, I'll need to downsize, right? They've mentioned maybe the South Charlotte area is where they want to be. Right? You can identify certain neighborhoods, let's say Hunter Oaks, Somerset, Longview if you're lucky, right? And then what can happen, you can set them up on a smart plan so they get all the homes that are for sale in those neighborhoods. Or what the new feature is, okay, this is the new feature here, guys, is once we add those contacts or add those neighborhoods, right? I zoomed in and I selected the neighborhood, or maybe they're already there, and I can click save, okay? So now what I can do, actually from the map itself, okay, so from the map itself, if you click on the neighborhood, so you'll see this arrow right here, clicking on the neighborhood will give you this drop down to be able to share those details right from here, right? So I can click share details about the neighborhood, and I can, let's say, text it. I can text it to my client. I can put it on Facebook, wherever I'd like it to be, right? But if you want to view what it's sending them, if you click on that neighborhood and click view details, you can see exactly what they would get. And it's very cool, right? So in this case, this is exploring Somerset. It shows me where Somerset is on the map, average days on market, what locals say, a mini CMA, properties for sale, right? School districts, transit and commute to the city. Yelp, places nearby, right? You can share in 2 clicks now, all the neighborhood data straight from your command app, okay? Would you like to go through those steps again? Okay, let's do it. So from the command app, okay, we're going through these steps again. Click on any contact to pull that contact up. So the first step is pulling up any contact in your data, in your command database on your command app. Okay, now scroll down to the neighborhood section. From what I'm saying, you do have to actually click on add or remove. You have to get to the map to share the neighborhood information. So if you're looking at it, you know, like this, you can't share it from there, from what I'm saying. Right, we need to actually click add or remove. So it'll show the neighborhoods on the map. That's when I can click on the neighborhood that I want to send. And I can click to share the details, right? I can view the details so I can see it myself, or I can share, okay? That share details allows me to text that exact neighborhood, all the homes for sale, you know, mini CMA, everything going on in that neighborhood, right to my client. I can send it via email, text, you name it. Do we foresee this as being helpful? How do you foresee that you can use this in your business? Right, if they're looking in a specific neighborhood, right? So what this does is, right, in the past with the monthly neighborhood nurture, right, that sends once a month. Bi-monthly neighborhood nurture sends twice a month, right? But you're not in control of when it's going out per se. This allows you to send it on demand to your client. Yes.
So what if they don't want a specific neighborhood? They want to be like Salt side of Charlotte, like Salt Park down to Valentine.
Gotcha.
That's a ton of neighborhoods.
Yeah, this would be more for, so you can't add multiple neighborhoods, first of all.
And
So
then
you
they're
can-
gonna get blown up with a bunch of tags.
Correct. So in that case, if they're more looking for a zip code, this isn't as much for zip codes as it is for neighborhoods.
This is more neighborhood specific.
Yeah, exactly. And this is used a lot for more like long-term buyers. So buyers that are telling you, hey, I'm not ready to buy or something right now. But you know, in the future, maybe Hunter Oaks might be good. You know what I don't want is you to turn around and put me on a property search that didn't listen to anything I said about my timeline and is pushing me to buy now. Right? What this does instead, it puts them in the front seat to be able to search the neighborhood and just keep them up to date with the neighborhood stats. What are the homes selling for so you can be prepared when it comes time to actually buy or sell your home, right? You need to be prepared with the top knowledge, the latest knowledge of the market of the neighborhood that you ideally want to buy into next, right? So that's a really good script for how to get long-term buyers to convert earlier, because too, okay, now they're in control, they're looking through the neighborhood and they just saw their dream home go on the market. Well, guess what? Now they're calling you, telling you they want to see this home when they weren't going to buy or sell for, you know, a year previously. So it's a way that you can get homes in front of them in a more educated way. It's not just the homes that are for sale, it's the entire knowledge of the neighborhood and the market in there to prepare for the next year that you want to sell. Does that make sense to everyone? By yourself. Okay. Okay, the other one I want to show you on the command app. Any questions on that feature before we continue? So the other command feature that launched is allowing you to, and for those of you online, this is of course what that neighborhood information looks like. You can see that on your own phone. But to show you the one other feature that launched on the command app, okay, you can X out of there if you were still on that map on your screen, you can X out. But you can now scan other KW agents' contact information right into your command database. Okay, so that was really big for family reunions, big networking events. But let's say you go to another networking event, you're with a KW agent, right? To exchange information, you can now just scan the QR code on their phone. So I'm going to show you this. And it just puts their contact information right in your database. Okay, so first, let's talk about where's your digital business card that someone will be scanning your information. Okay, I know some of you know this, but this is great for you to see again. Right, your digital business card is on the command app on the home screen, and I'll pull it up for those of you online. One sec. So this is all in the notes as well. All right. So this is how you can add someone else's. So I'm going to show you that next. But how you get to your digital business card to scan it. It's just from the command app, the home screen where it says your name on the top. Click on that. And click on my business card. So I clicked on my name on the very, I know it's hard to see online. clicked on my name on the very top of command. And then my business card. That's your QR code, okay? That pulls all your contact information right from your marketing profile, okay? So if someone else needs to scan your QR code, that's what you go to. Now, how do you scan someone else's QR code? Okay, so if you want to add another KW agent's QR code, right, scan it right to your database. You can click on the contacts icon on the bottom. So contacts icon on the bottom of the command app. And then 3 dots on the top right. Right, that's where we went to import contact, but now we see another option, and that's add with QR code. Go back and actually add the contact. Yeah, that's a good point. So if you're like looking at, there you go. If you're looking at a contact, it's not there. You have to be like looking at all of your contact list for the 3 dots. So looking at all of your contacts, then clicking the 3 dots, that's when that add with the QR code comes up. Right, so I'd be able to scan anyone's information right to my command database, right? So that allows you to scan other KW agents' information right to your command database. Why? Why do I care about doing that, right? I care about doing that to grow my referral network. Great, good question.
So what if they have? Or
That's okay, yeah, yeah, Android or iPhone works for this, yeah. I just saw an article, I don't know what year it was, but that Android sales outpaced iPhones. Do you guys know that happened? I didn't even know that ever happened. I'm gonna have to Google when that was. Anyway, Androids and iPhones both work with the app. It does need to be another KW agent for this feature, okay? Which leads me to managing your referral network in command, okay? So managing your referral network. So what I mean by this is, all right, I need to be creating relationships with agents in other places. So if I have a client that tells me, hey, I need to sell my house and I got a new job in Arizona, wouldn't it be helpful if I had an agent in Arizona to refer them to get that 25%? Sure would. So let me show you how you can create and manage your referral network in command. So this is KW agent to KW agent around the entire country. Okay, this is a pretty cool tool. So let's go to command. So I'm at agent.kw.com. I'm gonna log in real quick. So again, that's agent.kw.com. And it's the same login you use for your command app. All right, the referral network in command is on the left-hand side. So all these icons on the left-hand side, of course, you can click the KW logo to pan that out. And we're going to go to the referrals network, or the referrals icon. Okay, so the referrals, your referral network here. Okay, so what you're looking at is your dashboard here. So you can see kind of an overview of what's going on for your referral network. So for example, I can see that I have 19 pending invites, kind of like friend invites on Facebook, right? If I'm sending a referral, right, I can see that here if there are any pending, right, that I'm sending or receiving, if I have received any, if I have sent any. So I can see an overview here, and I can see my referral network here below, okay? And the feature that they added, and I'll show you this in more depth in just a second here, but the feature that they added is the ability to add tags to your referral network now. So this plus sign here was not there previously. So you'll see in your referral network, again, I just clicked on that referral icon, and then now I can click this plus sign, which helps me add any tag here. I mean, you can think of probably a million things you can use this for, but you know, okay, I typically will need that if they're going to a different state, right? So if I want to tag them by state or by military or their specialization, you know, if I, you know, partner with an agent that's a part of the luxury division or a part of, I think the KW Sports Entertainment is still a thing, right? Those kind of specializations, right? That's a very unique accolade that I might want to acknowledge here so I can connect my clients accordingly. Spanish speaking might be another great one, right? If I have a Spanish speaking client and they need a Spanish speaking agent, right? That's also crucial for you, of course, if you speak Spanish, to make sure you're marketing that. All right, so adding tags right here is that new feature. But while we're in here, I just wanted to let kind of show you around what else you have access to, because I find that agents don't really know this exists. So for example, if you just want to click up here, we can click around, you can't break anything. So if you click on like my referrals, you can see more in depth if you have sent any referrals or received any, right? This is where you can send updates on your referrals as well to the agent, which is very cool. Just going across here, okay? And I do have more in-depth training on this if you would like more in-depth training, but to show you an overview here, this is one of my favorite things. So you do have to zoom in. So I'm in the map section. This is really cool for when you get a listing. Let me show you something. Okay, so let me show you something very helpful that you can wow your sellers, potential sellers. If you're trying to get a listing, you can actually track referral patterns. So where the most amount of people are moving to North Carolina, okay? So you can track where most people are moving out of state to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then run an ad about their listing in that area. Wow, right? Ooh, they're really impressed, right? I'm gonna list with you for sure. So let's take a look at how that's done. We click map and referral patterns here. And it's going to show you, I think it has me at Austin, Texas. Here, let me change that. It should track your location. It's probably my settings. But your computer will try to track your settings. But if it doesn't, you can always change that right here. And I can see the biggest referral patterns, okay, how many people are moving. And now this is technically what this is showing is literal referral. So how many KW referrals are going from, let's say, Colorado to Charlotte. So like, where I maybe expect there to be more from New York, for example, I think there could be other things in play there, like are there as many KW offices in New York, right? This is just KW to KW referral. Still very valuable, especially when you're explaining to a potential listing, right? How you can market their listing in a way that other brokerages can't. What value do you provide? You have a map that shows you exactly where the most amount of people are moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we can run Facebook ads, Instagram ads to those areas to get you nationwide attention on your listing. That's a script and that's a wow, right? And if you have no idea how to do any of that, that's okay. Just make an appointment with me and Joel's. We'll sit down with you. Just help me do it, right? Free for you. Any questions on that? Do you want to see how I got here again? Are we going to use this? Yes. All right, do we think we're going to try to use that script when we're talking to sellers? Because I noticed like whenever I'm like watching a class, let's say of big time agents teaching it and they're explaining their value proposition of what they provide to that potential seller, it's often things that you don't have maybe as a newer agent. Things like 10 years of experience, a warehouse of staging material. Okay, so what are those value adds that you can provide with the KW tech that wows them just the same? You don't need to know how to do it. You need to know that it exists so you can make an appointment with us and we'll do it with you, right? For free. The Market Center pays us to help you guys. So just know, we're here to help you guys implement this. You just need to know the script to tell those potential clients what you can do. Yeah, absolutely, Latricia. So to show you those steps again, how to get back to see your referral patterns, okay? So this is in the referral section of Command. Okay, and I did click on maps, all right, but when I do that, it will ask to track your location. Depending on your browser, sometimes it'll freak out and not allow you to track your location. So no worries if that happens. You can just put in Charlotte, North Carolina here. You can put in Weddington. You can, whatever you'd like to do. And then what's key is that, and I think you might have to do this first, change it to referral patterns. This is what we need it to say. So referral patterns right here. Of course, you can search by other things, as you can see. You can search by production level. You can search by Market Center if you have a client moving to Michigan, or you can search within your network. But in this case, we're selecting referral patterns. So again, what this is showing me is how many referrals are being sent from KW offices and what cities those are most often coming from. So we know how to target their marketing for their listing, right? We can then run a Facebook ad or social media ad targeting that area, right? And that's true. So a Facebook ad in Command now, you can add up to 10 areas. So like a Facebook ad, you can run in Command. And again, the how, don't worry about, just come make an appointment with us. We'll help you. But you can add up to 10 areas now. So we can run that to Charlotte, Weddington, Waxhaw here. And then put in one of the areas is New York, especially if you have a listing that has more land or is out in the country, right? So just so you know, we can very much add those in. And the how on that, how you can make an appointment with us, and I do have a video on it as well, but kwbresources.com, and then I need tech help on the top right. That's how you make free appointments with Jules and I. And we can sit down and walk you through how that's done. If you would like the video on how to set up a Facebook and Instagram ad, just shoot me an email. I'll put my email in the chat as well. Okay. But that would be the takeaway. That's one of the most powerful things that I love that Command does in here, as far as when you are selling to a potential listing, is that you can run an ad based on the biggest referral patterns, right? That is very cool. Questions on that? Okay. All right, and of course you can grow your network. Just the last thing here, as far as growing your network, I would recommend doing so, right? Start networking with other KW agents now that you know how to scan it right to your database, and you can grow your network from here as well. Any questions on the referral section? Okay, so that is the end of the family reunion updates. I'm going to show you guys the best practices for DocuSign for the rest of the class. So if you would like to stick around and see those, great. If you're here for the family reunion updates, that's a wrap. If you have any questions and want to dive deeper in that, schedule an appointment with us. We're happy to help. And we also post tech updates on, the KW Facebook group. But for the final parts of class, I want to show you the key things that many agents are not doing when they are setting up their workflow for DocuSign, right, to make their lives easier, right? So this is going to show you the major workflow of how to start a transaction in Command, get your forms in DocuSign, and send those out for e-signature. The advanced DocuSign class is going to be in 2 Tuesdays, okay? So not next week, following week, okay? So if you guys want the advanced DocuSign class as well, I'll be teaching that. So for DocuSign, who in here has used DocuSign before? Who loves DocuSign? What? The admin. No, I'm shocked. Yeah, so DocuSign does require a very specific workflow that honestly, once you get the steps, you're good. But it does require a specific workflow. I'm going to show you that real quick. I'm going to overview it for you. But also, just so you know, on the class notes, and I'll show you again where I got that, this is the 25-minute overview. So in case you don't memorize every word I say, no worries. You can always watch this at home. It's on the front page of KWB Resources, right? If I scroll down, this is the DocuSign video anytime. So if you're in a crunch, your clients want to make a contract, put in a contract yesterday, great. Follow my video, pause it, and it'll guide you right through it. And I'm going to show you that as well, okay? So as far as DocuSign goes, we always want to make sure we are starting our transaction in Command with DocuSign. That is key. We never go to DocuSign directly to create a new transaction. Okay, so the first thing we do is we make sure that contact is in our database. So I'm in Command here at agent.kw.com, right? Like the agent login for kw.com. And I'm in my contact database. And if you have a contact in here you'd like to use as a test, great. You can go ahead and click on their name, or you can simply click add contact to add in a test contact. Okay, in this case, I'll just look up a test contact. All right, so when we're adding in a contact, right, we want to make sure we have their email address and their name. And then we can come on over to the opportunities section. Okay, so how I recommend creating opportunities is from the opportunities tab of the contact record. Now, just so you guys know, the opportunities section is also, you don't need to click on it, but if you see where my mouse is, you'll see if I hover over it, it says the opportunities. And we'll get to that in the advanced DocuSign class. But for today, I just want you to know the major workflow of how to start transactions, get your forms, and make your life easier. So from the contact, we click on opportunities. If you're wondering what an opportunity is, as corny as it sounds, it's an opportunity for a sale or a transaction. So I like to see it here because I can see, okay, have I created an opportunity for this client already? Many agents create duplicates all the time, right? Because if this agent or this client rather is going to be selling their home with me and then buying the next home, I would be setting up two separate opportunities, one for the listing and one for the buy. So essentially you have a separate opportunity per transaction, per home that you sell, okay? So if I want to go ahead and create a new opportunity, I can do so from this opportunities tab by clicking create opportunity. All right, and I know this looks like a lot of fields, but there's really just three main fields you have to fill out. One being the opportunity type. So opportunity type, this is where we're putting if this is a listing or a buyer. You can select either one. They're very similar as far as practice goes. The second field we have to fill out is our client. And since I'm creating it from here, I do have my client's information. But if there's a co-seller on the property, right, I could add them here. So with that being said, as you can see, the client and the co-seller are in two separate fields, meaning we would never put contacts in command as Jane and John Smith as one contact. It would always be Jane Smith as one and John Smith as the other contact, right? Those are separate fields here. They need to sign the form separately, okay? And the third and final field that we have to fill out is the commission rate. And that is talking about your side of the transaction. It's okay if they haggle you down, that can be changed. But for now, if you just want to put your normal commission rate. So again, the three fields I had to fill out there were opportunity type, my client, and the commission rate. And I can click on create on the bottom. All right. And once I've created that opportunity, of course, I can see it here. And I can simply click on the name to open that up. Okay, and this is where one of the biggest parts that you need to know in the workflow comes, okay? So if you stay for nothing else, this is the time. All right, guys, so from this detail tab, so what we're looking at, we're in the opportunity itself, okay? So this is the opportunity, the detail section. And how we get into DocuSign is from the documents tab, okay? So how we always start the DocuSign room, okay, is from the documents tab. And I'll harp on that a lot more, but there's a very specific step that you need to be taking before you create that transaction. Okay, and a lot of agents are not doing this. So from the documents tab, this is very, very important, these next two steps. It is super important that you select pick checklist type first before you click start a transaction, okay? So don't do it yet. Like we don't want to click start a transaction yet, all right? But what that will do is create the transaction in your DocuSign account. So that's great. That's what we're going to do. What's key is that we select the checklist type first, okay, on the left-hand side. So in this example, let's say I'm selecting that it's a North Carolina listing / sale. The reason this is so important to select the checklist first is it will automatically pull in the forms that you need into your DocuSign room as long as you select the checklist first, okay? So since I selected the checklist, it's going to pull in any forms with this blue DS automatically now when I click start a transaction and go into DocuSign. I'll show you what I mean. And so when you click on start a transaction, DocuSign should pop up for you. If not, it's most likely a pop-up window. So look out for a pop-up blocker, and I can help get around that if you need. All right, and it will require you to log into DocuSign the first time each day for security. So this is a password you'll need to remember. Wait, I know what it is. Hang on. Ninth time's a charm. Okay, and so now you'll see once I log in, all my required forms are going to be in my DocuSign room automatically because I selected that checklist, right? See all these forms automatically came in. These are all the forms I need to be in compliance, right? They automatically pulled in. They're all blank, right? They're there for me to work on now, but they automatically pulled in because I selected the checklist first, okay? If I didn't do that, if I just click start a transaction, the world wouldn't end. It would just open a blank room. and you would have to manually go get each form, okay, which I'll show you. So not the end of the world, but you just can't go back. Yeah.
When you check the checklist, what did you check?
Oh, when I select, all you have to do is select the checklist.
What should you check?
I selected the NC listing sales checklist. And then as long as you select this checklist, you don't have to like check anything if that's what you mean. But you just have to select which checklist so it knows which forms to automatically bring in. Like if you were doing a South Carolina deal or a land deal, right? Something weird like that. That's when you would need to select that. So it knows, okay, I need
So
different
you mean like
forms.
the NC sale file?
Mhm.
If you're doing, if you're doing a buyer, the checklists are gonna be very different.
Thank you. That's probably.
So if you did a buyer instead of a listing, that's why.
Yeah, that is why. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. Jenna. Yeah, so buyer, if you select a buyer opportunity instead, I just select a listing opportunity here. You do have separate checklists, right? So you're exactly right, North Carolina sales file. Now, the extra thing to know though for buyers, like if you did select a checklist, you're probably a little confused because the first checklist for buyers, I know this is listing, but the first one says, what is that? Consultation, thank you. So, and that just shows 2 sample forms. So if you click on under contract, you'll see all the buyer forms really displayed there, Gerard. That helps. And that's when it's gonna automatically pull into into DocuSign. I'll pull in all the forms that have this blue DS next to it, which I guess for buyers is not quite as many. Yeah, listing is a lot more of the forms pulled in. Questions on that workflow? You guys okay on that? Okay, great. All right, so now that it pulled in all of my forms, okay, and if anyone does not have access to your forms, just let me know. You can simply click on a form and it'll tell you if you don't have your forms connected. It's just an issue of linking your NERDS ID, which I can help with. All right, so but the final steps here are to edit our form and send it for electronic signature. So to do so, I'll simply click on the form to open that up. And I can't imagine that I'll say. More than what you say, I just can't imagine. I think you could teach them.
I used to teach DocuSign.
So there you go.
I'm just seeing if things have changed and just kind of how you're teaching it too.
Okay.
Cause there's stuff our team doesn't do that you are saying to do, but it's actually a team thing.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. I'm glad I'm boring you.
Alright, so I'm sorry, what form did you click?
No worry, I clicked on the exclusive right to sell, so if you want to do the buyer agency.
No, I went to the seller.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so as far as editing our forms, right, we can add, before I go to edit this, actually, I'm gonna X out, you can stay where it is. I just want to show you guys how you can add additional forms. So in the case that, let's say you don't have the form that you need, like one it wasn't automatically added in, I can come up to add on the top right. Okay, and you see this icon right here, the DocuSign forms icon. That is that same icon that you're seeing on all the forms. And that means those are the ones that are fillable, right? I can just start typing in those. So if I need to bring in more fillable forms, I can simply click on the DocuSign forms icon. So I clicked on add and then DocuSign forms, that second option down. And this is where I have access to all of my forms to pull in additional forms. So what you're looking at here is the forms separated by topic. Sabra and Tasha do this. So they separate it to make it easier for you to find all your listing forms in one file, all your North Carolina sales file, right? However, if you want to see an overarching view of the entire library of North Carolina forms or South Carolina forms, of course, you can do that on the bottom here. Just one more thing to note, if you're pulling in more forms, so all I have to do to pull in additional forms is simply click on the checkbox, and then on the bottom it says add selected. All right, but you'll notice the ones that say in use. Okay, so if that's the case, that means they're already in your DocuSign room and it won't let you pull in a separate copy of that. Okay, and I can explain how it wants you to work on editing forms if you have questions on that, but that's the main thing to know. If it says in use, it's already in your DocuSign room, so you can add selected additional ones and then click add selected.
Excuse me, quick question. I'm doing a buyer side one, and when I went to And I'm glad you told me that, because I couldn't find any of the forms. It was just showing those two generic ones. And so I went down to under contract, and now it won't let me select anything. And I missed like the next step she went to after that.
Gotcha, no worries. Are you more looking at this screen? Are you looking at?
Yes.
Gotcha, okay, great. So now if you could click go to transaction or start a transaction on the top, on the right-hand side. And that should bring you back to your DocuSign room.
It is, but it only has 4 forms in here that I added.
Gotcha, okay, yeah, as far, and you selected a buyer, right? Cause yeah, if it's a buyer opportunity, it doesn't bring in quite so many forms. It brings in different forms than the listing opportunity does. So that's
It didn't bring in any other forms at all. So I don't know if I did something wrong.
Gotcha. Let's check your Nerds ID, and this is good for everyone to do real quick. If you know you have your forms in there, great. You can work on opening up a form and editing it. If you do not have access to your forms, like Brandy, I think that might be what's going on for you. If you can click on your headshot on the top right. And this is great for everyone to know, because this is how your forms get in your account, period. So if you ever lose access to forms, this is where it connects. So your
I
headshot.
fixed that yesterday. I watched a video and fixed the nerd. So it's connected.
Nice. Okay, so it's connected under integrations. You see National Association of Realtors.
All right, so go ahead, hit the headshot, then what?
Oh, sorry. Headshot and then preferences from that drop down. This will be good for you to watch, Mom.
Okay, then what?
And then click on integrations on the left-hand side.
Okay, then what?
And then you should have it, Gerard, National Association of Realtors, right? You see that? If you click the blue arrow, you can see, you can confirm exactly what's connected. So it'll load and it'll show you which associations you're a part of eventually. And if you ever lose access to your forms, it's 99% of the time because you didn't pay your dues to the South Carolina Association of Realtors in time, and that's how they get you. They just cut off access to your forms. So if that were to ever happen, so you can see here, like I have access to both North and South Carolina forms. If yours only says one or the other, probably the case is that you are delayed on your payment and they cut off your forms. Yeah.
Well, good.
Good, but this is really good for you guys to know how to get back here. If there's ever an issue with your forms, it's the only place you need to go, and then you know which association you need to adjust that for.
So it looks like mine are connected. It says North Carolina Association of Realtors.
Great, okay. Yeah, as far as I would say then in your DocuSign room, if you're seeing 4 forms in there, that would be the 4 forms for the buyer side that did pull in. So you should be good on that. All right, so to edit
But
any
it
of the
was like a bunch of them came up in the list that said required, but none of those came over.
I can take a look at your account. It sounds like perhaps like if the checklist wasn't selected first, but I can take a look. If you can shoot me an email, I'll put my email in the Zoom chat. See, I can take a look at that. All right, so as far as editing these forms, right, we're simply going to click on the form to edit it. And editing it is very intuitive, right? So editing the form would involve clicking on the form to pull that open, and then just simply clicking to start type in the form, right? These forms are fillable. So I can completely fill in the information and it will auto-fill back and forth between each other. So for example, let's say I haven't put in the address on a form yet, right? Well, if I put the address on this form, it would then autofill the address on every other form that I open in this DocuSign room, okay? So the forms do autofill back and forth. So what I'm doing here, and you'll see some of that information autofilled, like my client's information, that autofilled from command, right? If I need to enter in further information, I simply click and start typing.
Now, do you normally just do all the detail sheet first? Is that what you do, and then that populates over to everything else? Or
I mean, do you do that, or do you just?
what's the protocol?
Well, the way that we do it is, it's honestly whatever you choose, because if you put it in the details, it's gonna flow through everything. But if you also put it in the form, it will also flow through everything, so
Oh, that will go to the.
it will go to all the other forms that you have as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there are a lot more fields in the detail section than you actually do need to do your paperwork. So you might be spending too much time in the detail section, whereas if you just do this, you're going through the forms already and you're not second guessing. Or you can create templates that'll fill out for you.
Yeah, and that's a fun one. I can show that next.
I'm sorry, what was, I didn't.
You can
Create
fill out
templates.
So for those of you online, and to give you one more piece of data on that, the question is, okay, should I fill in, the details, right? Because there is a detail section right from here, right? So that syncs back and forth from the forms. However, I just want to point out, I'm going to switch tabs, right? So just so you guys know, DocuSign is the yellow icon, right? But the tab for your opportunity for command is the KW icon, right? So if you click on that to get back to your opportunity, there's a details tab here, okay? This is where you can sync. So see how now that I have created my opportunity, or my DocuSign room, it's showing me these fields that say synced are synced to DocuSign. So anything that has a synced, mean that pushed over to DocuSign. It's a one-way sync just from command to DocuSign. So let's say, for example, if I update my client's email address, I got it wrong. Okay, I got his name wrong, whatever it might be. This allows me to update that information right in here in command, right? So if I update my client's information, or if I add in the address, let's say, right? I can sync this information in a one-way sync, right? So see, oh, did it automatically just sync it? Wow. Then I can come back and it doesn't usually automatically sync it. Let me see if it's doing that for all of them. That's cool.
But if you put it on the contract, will that sync over to that also?
Yeah, it doesn't go back.
Yeah, it does. You're right. So it does not, DocuSign doesn't sync back to command. So when it's something like, the contact information is wrong and you need that updated in command and also in DocuSign, I would recommend starting from command and then just coming in and click sync.
Properly, and that'll carry over to the contract.
Exactly. Because the only time it syncs is the first time that you go to open the transaction DocuSign. So, when we click start a transaction, that's the moment it syncs all the details, the contact information, anything you have in command to DocuSign. Okay, but if something changes, that's when coming to the details section of the opportunity and clicking sync transaction is typically your best bet. And it usually will tell you if something is edited or if it is synced over. Just trying to see if they changed that.
So the key here is to make sure that your command is done on point.
Yeah, I mean, you should do that anyway, though.
Well,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think? Like, do you think going
Yeah, I
back
mean,
to?
I always fill in everything that I can in the detail section of command before hitting the start a transaction button.
I love that.
I always do,
Were you in TC? Were you?
director of operations. I used to teach DocuSign.
Yeah.
Ran Puma.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's why I'm like, tell us all about what you've done.
But I think also too, people get confused too, because there's also a detail section in DocuSign.
Right. I would recommend avoiding the detail section in DocuSign. Personally, I would love your input, of course, Jenna. Like, if anything, see the detail section here, right, as the sync, because that's really where it's pushing from. Because are you saying, right, in DocuSign, there's a lot more details that you don't need?
Yeah, there's a lot of information, because DocuSign is goes to everywhere. So California, all other states who do things very, very differently. So there's a lot of terminology in the detail section that's honestly probably gonna confuse you. So in DocuSign, I personally would suggest just taking what was synced over and then add it as you go through the forms, because it will filter through. So you put your license number in there once, it's gonna filter through any other form that you put in there. So.
Well, when I do the detail, I don't fill the whole thing.
Mhm.
I just do buyer, seller, myself, and then whatever the property information is. I don't do all that.
And that's fine, and that's totally fine, if that's, you're limiting yourself to that, that's fine, but it will also do it as you go through the form too.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's good information.
Yeah.
So either way, it'll work completely fine.
Yeah, so really, guys, for those of you online, the takeaway there is you don't really need to fill in the details section manually of DocuSign, right? Because if you fill out the forms, it will autofill itself back to the details section.
Thank you very much.
Jenny, you're coming to every class. Great. All right, so as far as editing the form, right, I know that was a little of a side step there of how it auto-fills, good for you guys to know, but filling out the form, right, is we click to open the form and type to start filling it in. Now, if it's a form that, if you have clients, let's say, that don't trust electronic signatures, or you're going to their house anyway, and you want to explain the form to them, right, you can print this form out. So let's say if I want to go through and type in the entire form first because it looks more professional, I absolutely can. And then I can print it out and bring it on my appointment. So just so you guys know, that is an option. So to do that, right, I would type up the entire form first. I do always recommend clicking save and close first, okay? But you can print it right from here. So the document actions is this little paper icon on the top right. And it'll give you the option here to print that out. Again, I recommend clicking save and close before doing this to get all your changes to print. All right, but you'll see right there, that's when you can print the form, bring it on your appointment, explain it to them so they can hand sign it, okay? So that is one option. Of course, the point of DocuSign is to be able to send your forms for electronic signatures so you can expedite that process, make it more efficient and less painful for everyone, okay? So if that is the case, so A, we're printing it here, or we can send it for electronic signatures. I'm going to show you how to do it in bulk, but the term they use to do this is creating an envelope, okay? And I'll explain that more, but for now, I'm going to X out of this form, or I'm going to click save and close. All right, so I can show you how to do this in bulk. So in the case that you want to send, let's say, the working with real estate agents and the listing agreement. So you want to send multiple forms to them at once, you can do that. And that first step would be filling out the form, right? So that first step is clicking on the form to open it and type it. Step one. So step two is now we want to select the forms we want to either print or send for electronic signatures in this case. So to do that, you see the check boxes on the top of each form, okay? If I click a checkbox, it makes an extra menu appear. So right when I click this checkbox, you can see this bulk action menu appears. That menu is not there at all if you don't have anything checked. I just find that slightly confusing, so just keep an eye out for that. So what I'm doing here is selecting the forms I want to send for electronic signature. Keep in mind, I would have clicked to edit the form first, okay? So checking those forms. Then up here, this bulk action menu, this is where I could print it, right? It doesn't tell you a whole lot, it's just icons. So if you hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you what the icon does. In this case, we want to create an envelope. So if you're sending it to get DocuSigned, so electronic signature, we're looking out for that pen icon. So we're clicking the check boxes and then clicking the pen icon on this top bulk action menu to create an envelope, okay? And when I do that, the first thing it's going to do is like channeling snail mail. Okay, who do I want to put on the front of the envelope? So this is where I'm going to put my sellers on here. And if it's a form I need to sign as the listing agent or buyer agent, I would add myself as well. Okay, so since it's a listing agreement in this example, that's something I need to sign, so I'm adding myself as well. And it does usually take like 30 to 60 seconds here, because what it's doing is pulling all the contact information right from command into the envelope. Okay, and to make sense of this, I really channel snail mail, right? It's an envelope, right? So you'll see the first thing that we did when we're sending this envelope is we selected the forms that went in the envelope. So that's what we see there at the top. These are the documents that I'm sending my clients. Okay, next thing I would do in snail mail is I would put recipients on the front of the envelope, okay? Now this is something that's newer here. They changed the default to automatically apply this 1, 2, 3 that you can see. Okay, for newer agents, my recommendation is unchecking it. So what it does is really just a matter of how you explain it, is that you need to know. If you uncheck it, all 3 of these people will receive the form to sign at the same exact time. If I leave it checked, which it is by default, that's fine, okay? But what will happen is if I send it like this, person number 1 will get the form first, and person number 2 will not receive the form until after person number 1 does their job of signing it, okay? And then person number 3 won't get the form until after person 1 and 2 have done their jobs of signing it. So if you do leave it like this, that's totally fine. But what's key here is that if you send it like this and then tell your clients, hey, I just sent over the form. Well, no, you didn't. It's not going to be in their inbox if they're person number 2 and person number 1 has not signed yet. Does that make sense what that feature does? How it sends it in order? Now, there are some good uses for it, right? So the takeaway there, if you're a newer agent, I would just recommend unchecking it so all three of them receive it at the same time. There is some good uses of it, however, though, like if you're sending an offer and you wanted the mortgage provider to receive the fully executed offer at the end, or if you have an admin that you want to just receive a copy at the end, right? I can come in and click add recipient to add in, let's say, my mortgage provider or my TC or my admin and their email. But what's key here, guys, there is something key if you choose to do this, okay? See where it says needs to sign? That's where you just want them to receive a copy, okay? And this is a little bit of a next level feature in DocuSign. So if you're newer to DocuSign, I want your takeaway to be just uncheck the form of the check boxes and they all receive at the same time. But if you do want to do it this way, right, you can allow your TC or whoever it is to receive a copy. You'll see two that are very similar that I just want to draw a difference. Receives a copy and needs to view, okay? I recommend receives a copy. The reason being, if you select needs to view, right, I'll explain more about how signed forms work, but you don't get the signed copy back as the agent until all parties have completed their action. Meaning if there's two people to sign, you don't get the fully signed copy back until both people have signed. If you have someone listed as they need to view it, well, guess what? You won't get the signed copy back until everyone signs and this person views it. Does that make sense, the difference? Okay, so we want to use instead receives a copy. Anything to add on that?
I have a suggestion.
Please.
So if there's something that needs to be filled out, that's not just click and sign, such as the property disclosure.
Yeah.
I would highly suggest doing the order and having whoever is filling it out. So usually whoever's like the dominant in the relationship or who is in charge and can answer all the questions about the house or whatever, put them number one. Have them fill that out so that when it goes to number two, all they have to do is just click and sign an initial or whatever. Because if it goes to two people at the same time and they happen to open it at the same time and they start filling it out at the same time, that's the problem.
I'm gonna repeat this for those of you online, but first, you recommend that for residential property disclosure and mineral and gas, oil and gas?
Yeah, and those usually come hand in hand anyway,
Are
but
those the two really the only
Biggest
forms
one-
to do that for?
or if there's some random form else that has to be filled out, anything that has to be filled out, like
By
you
them.
have to actually answer questions and, you know, like the attorney info sheet, if you're sending that via DocuSign or something like that, mineral and gas, now I'm thinking about is may not be that big of a deal. You do have to answer questions.
Could I have your phone
Right?
number? No, I'm not doing
I'm not out here next.
it.
I'm in that back office. If you ever have questions, you can come ask me all the way in the
You
corner.
know who this is? Like, this is why PJ has a business.
Oh, you're.
I'm PJ's
I
director of
thought-
operations.
oh, we connect, well, via email.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
That's me.
so you're her.
Like that is her, yes.
All right, okay.
To repeat that for those of you online, that was really important for you guys to hear. So if you're sending a residential property disclosure, or maybe, what was the attorney one?
Attorney info sheet, like they need the seller's information or the buyer's information.
So if it's a form that your clients do actually need to fill out, so a form that you're not filling out for them per se, for them to just sign, but if they need to fill out answers, like the residential property disclosure about the home, that would be a really good time to use this feature here, okay? So whoever, let's say, is the dominant in the relationship, let's say the wife knows most about the property, the husband, whichever one it is, who's answering those questions, we're gonna wanna put them in as number one, and then the husband in as number two, okay? So we would put it in as number one here. And it still just needs to sign, right?
Yep,
Okay,
so
cool.
needs to sign, yeah.
Yeah, number one here, whoever is going to be filling out the residential property disclosure. So who is actually answering the questions on the property? That's number one. And then the person who's just signing off on those answers, we're gonna put them in as number two here. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. And you could also, like, if there's a third, you can put two people as number two
Right.
or equal number.
I'm gonna put myself so you guys can see. Okay. All right, so any questions on that section? Because I know there's a lot going on with all those numbers. Okay, so the final step is you can scroll down and leave a message here. You do not have to write anything, but if you discuss something on the phone, like, hey, on the top of page 2, that's where we talked about filling in XYZ. You can absolutely put that there.
Another
I
suggestion.
love when you give suggestions.
The subject of the email, please change it.
That's a good one, because the envelopes.
It gets so confusing if you don't.
So the suggestion in class was, so you see this right here, the subject, that is also what names the envelope. So as far as when you're looking back at what forms you sent, or what do you usually name it? Like
I
the form
usually
name?
say, like, if, so for buyer docs, I say, please sign buyer docs, or, please sign 123 Main Street listing paperwork, or please sign revised offer for 123 Main Street. Just get a little more specific, just so that you kind of organize what is actually in that particular envelope. If you're putting 4 documents in there and all the subject, because it defaults to what the first one is. So it's only gonna say, and it's gibberish to the person receiving it. It makes absolutely no sense to them either.
Right.
So think like a client, if you see something and you don't understand it, you're not gonna click on it.
And I'll show you too, where this comes up. It does show up obviously in the email, right, in the email subject, but too, in your end, for your organization, this is huge. So you can see, okay, what group of forms did I send? If not, they're all labeled the same thing. So I'll show you that next, but so final step here, if you click on next, okay, it'll take you to the form. And this is where you can see where your clients are able to sign. Okay, so you'll see at the bottom of the form, or you'll see the colored initial fields there. And you'll see the drop down on the very top left of your screen, right? It correlates a color to each client. So you can quickly see, okay, which fields can they sign, right? So I can see up here which fields that they are able to sign. I can see on the right-hand side here that, you know, I can eye over all of the fields. They are able to sign each one, each page here. The gray tab, just so you guys know, that's corresponding to the text fields, okay? And that's text fields that only you can fill in. So there's not much you have to do on this section. Typically, I just advise that you preview it. If you click on preview on the top right, you can see exactly what it looks like when your client goes to sign it. So I can come in here and let's say act as my client, and I can sleep at night knowing that they can sign it properly, right? I can come through, click on start, and see exactly what it looks like when they go through and sign the document. Of course, it doesn't actually sign it for them. It's just showing you where it would tell them to sign. Any comments on anything else you do before sending it off here, Jenna?
I mean, I don't know how advanced this class is, so I don't want to be too much information, but there is so much that you can do at this screen.
know, yeah.
And I don't want to go too deep, but
Yeah.
there's tons of stuff you can do.
Yeah, if you guys want more in the advanced DocuSign class, which is it next Tuesday or the following Tuesday? Okay, that makes sense. So not next Tuesday, the following Tuesday, which is someday in March. I'm teaching the advanced class, so I'm going to show you how you can edit PDFs, how you can completely edit here, how you can create templates in DocuSign to pre-fill the information. So we'll be going into a lot of detail in that class. If you do want more on DocuSign then.
The only thing I would say is
Mhm.
that what I truly love about DocuSign is you get a chance to check your paperwork without even knowing that you're checking your paperwork, because you're filling everything out on the document section and you get to this screen. And I do suggest you just scroll through it, make sure your dollar amounts are right, make sure you don't have any typos. This is giving you a second opportunity to just to review everything before it actually gets sent out. You don't know how many times that I'm just like type, not even realize I get there and I put 100 instead of 1,000. Like, but this is your chance to just double check and make sure that everything is right.
So for those of you online, the comment was, this is really your opportunity to check that everything is correct. And I do love it. It used to not allow you to edit it on this page, but now you can actually edit it. So if you see anything incorrect, this is your last opportunity to fix that before you send it off. So do really eye it over, whether it's in the preview, scrolling through, you can do all of that here. And then you can click send on the bottom right. Okay. Now the big last thing I want to tell you guys about, oh, I know we're over. If you can stay for 2 more minutes, I just want to show you what it's like when forms come back signed. In the advanced class, in the next class, I'll go over more like, you know, getting paid with once your forms are signed. However, now what Jenna was talking about, first of all, the envelope name being different. Okay, so once I sent that form out for signature, right, it takes me to this envelopes tab. We spend a majority of our time in DocuSign in this documents tab. or the envelopes, right? Documents shows you all of your forms that you can edit. You edit all of your forms in the Documents tab. Whereas in the Envelopes tab, we're seeing anytime that we sent one form or a group of forms for signature. And since I named this, right, since Jenna suggested changing the subject, that's why I'm able to easily see which forms, are in this one. And especially once I send a bunch of forms throughout the transaction, this allows me to quickly see what forms were sent in each envelope. Now, how you go and sign it as the agent is you can either sign it right from here. So if it's a form that you need to sign, you can sign it right from the envelope, or you can sign it from your email. All right, I'll send you an email. Jenna, do you recommend them signing it after their client signs?
Yeah, just for us, I always put the agent last, so they have a chance to review the paperwork before they actually make it a fully executed document.
Love that. Okay, so in that case, if you want to wait until your clients have signed that before you signed it, again, you can sign it as the agent, either from the Envelopes tab or from your email. It'll send you an email that you can sign it from there, okay? But now the key is, one thing I want to show you before you guys leave is that signed documents work differently in DocuSign. So as I mentioned, if we have two couples, we have one couple, two parties signing this document. I send it off for signatures. Each time that the form is signed, so let's say Jane Smith signs it, you'll get a notification that's been signed by Jane Smith with a PDF attached to the email with just her signature. Okay, but if you go back into your DocuSign room, you won't see the signed copy until all parties have signed. Okay, and that's very normal. Right, so you won't see it until both Jane and John Smith sign. Okay, with that being said, in the case, let's say that Jane Smith signed it with flying colors, but John Smith can't get it together, you can resend those forms, the envelope, to just the people who are holding up the process. So in the case that, John Smith hasn't signed it, you can always go over to the envelopes and click on the envelope to resend it. Okay.
And this is explaining why you need to change the subject of the emails, because they all say, please DocuSign. You have no idea what's in any of those.
So this is the example where it was not, I didn't change any of the subjects here. How hard is it for me to figure out which envelope I sent, the residential property disclosure, the contract, right? Very hard to go back and find that. So anyway, if I want to resend it to just the person who has not signed it yet, you can click on it and it will give you the option to resend. It's usually right here. And it will only resend it to the people who have not signed the form, okay? So again, in the case that one person signed with flying colors, the other person can't find it in their inbox, whatever it is, you can always resend the forms from the Envelopes tab directly. Just click on the envelope and you'll be able to resend it. Okay, the last thing I need to show you is just the difference of when it comes back signed, okay? So you can see here, right? I have my original copy of the form. Remember how I told you that the ones with the blue form icon means it's fillable, okay? The other two kinds of icons in here are PDFs, and I'll go over editing those in detail in the next DocuSign Advanced class. And the other one is the signed icon, green signed icon. So right, what happens is I have the original form, I send it to my client for signatures. When it comes back, it's going to come back as a totally separate copy of the form, and it converts it to a PDF to preserve the signatures, right? So that I cannot edit it, and it preserves the signatures. So when it comes back, you will have now two copies of the form. I have the signed copy here and the original copy. I will always have the original. So in the case that I need to edit it and resend for signatures, I can do that with the original, okay? So just so you guys know, a totally separate copy will come back signed. Questions on that part? Okay, if you can, schedule to come in for that advanced DocuSign class, because that's when we'll be finishing up there. I would also recommend, if you have not already, making an appointment with us. I can answer any of your DocuSign questions in person as well, or anything on the KW Tech, kwbresources.com, and I need tech help. So that'll do it. Thank you, Jenna, for all your lovely
You're
input.
welcome.
And you're free in 2 Tuesdays to want to go.
Yeah.
You're like,
I'll be in the advanced one.
okay, good.
So you're a director of sales, you said?
Director of operations
So you work for an agent and do all their
for a team.
stuff?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
A big team. How many do you guys have now?
9
Wow.
So how long have you been doing? it?
I've been doing real estate for over 20 years.
Oh.
7 years.
You don't look that.